So I've got a few new members who've joined the crew, and of course, on a vessel at sea, particularly a small vessel, nobody can ever have the same name. It's extremely dangerous and inappropriate. So once I was on a trip, Alan Toon, a famous Navy sailor, ex-paratrooper, was a skipper. We were coming back from the Carolina back to the UK, and it was him and 5 first mate standard crew. But one of the other guys was also called Nick, so I was immediately renamed Canada. The name Nick was never used. Somebody shouts, "Nick," it's that guy, not this guy. So the new crew have been named. The first mate, he's obviously a professional. The topman, he's a crewman of the highest caliber. The guy's at the top of the mast, handling the sails in the storm, 100 feet in the air. He's the guy in charge out there, senior crew. The new boy is a boy, basically, to learn to be a sailor. He has a long path to tread to become an ordinary sailor, an able sailor, first and second grade. But this guy is a snotty! He's a 9-year-old midshipman in the age of sail. It's like when you join the Navy as an officer, you join as it's like your school, basically. You won't see your parents again for 20 years, maybe. Now, Snotty, 3 times you have fallen over and messed the bed. Report to the boatswain for 12 of the best, and no more of your snivelling, child. Okay. Now I've got the crew in order. Here's a little story about my 21st birthday to enjoy. The story of my 21st birthday. It's one of my favourites that I had absolutely completely forgotten, but my brother has reminded me. And the job was this bunch of crew seekers I used to get on my jobs for, because I was in Hampshire and they were based. So there was a job that they got. This is such a story, I love it. I'd forgotten it entirely and my brother had to send it to me. I can never forget, I haven't thought about it for years. So what happened is, like, some con people, as a timeshare, they basically ordered for 12.36 or so foot westerly, something like that, a decent boat of the era. One boat had been delivered to the Canary Islands. It was a Port Mogan, a small port in Gran Canaria. And it had been a rip-off, obviously, and they'd sold like the shares for the 12 places and showed the people the one and then disappeared. A German or Swiss bank had repossessed it, having lost most of their money. And I actually wanted the one boat back to sell to get like the token money back. So this one boat is like effectively abandoned in a harbour in Gran Canaria. But because it's in the boat's been in the hands for a year in the harbour, in the hot water for a year, without any basic maintenance. It had issued, even though it was spanking new effectively. But the job was simply to deliver the boat back to Southampton. So the crew was Adrian, Phil and me. Phil was near new, but he was from the army and a lieutenant in the Royal Artillery. And there's Adrian, the skipper, in late 20s. And his sort of skippy was he, like in my hindsight, a really terrible one. It's fantastic at the actual sailing. But as a skipper, it's like a bluff and brag, be seen to be good, not doing the doing good. So we set off and all absolutely fine. So we leave the Canaries and head direction Madeira to the north, then to cross and come in the west approaches to the West Channel. So we went to Madeira and probably we needed fuel or something, but mainly what we needed is an engine that actually ran, because his preparations did not include checking the filters and the impellers. In hindsight, is pitiful, right? So we go into Madeira to sort these issues out finally. We were there for quite a while. It was maybe 5 days. One of the things he didn't fill up on was cooking gas. And one of the things I learned from this trip is that you can soak pasta overnight and you can eat it, basically, whereas rice is completely useless. So rice is not a seafood because it has to be fuel, needs fuel. We ran out of cooking gas like 2 days out, but there's nowhere else to go, so we haven't got any cooking gas anymore. Like, he was kind of all right, as it were, but he was an idiot, basically. If you were on watch and there was a difficult situation with the fishing boats or something, and you wanted someone to come up and, you know, just say, oh no, yeah, do that, okay, see ya. And you don't need somebody to come up and have like a load of attitude. Basically, we were running out of food, basically, in the Western Channels, and it's only a week's sailing. It's a pitiful piece of organisation. But there's no problem because he's going to have a barbecue. So he got a 5-litre metal drum thing, and then he put it on the washboards of the cockpit, brand new, $500 teak thing, spanking new, with some cardboard. There was a cardboard to insulate it, and had a fire in the cockpit to cook some rice. Surprisingly, there was a colossal, massive, 2-foot wide burn straight through it. What would you do if you had you're the skipper of effectively a brand new boat being delivered? You're supposed to be bringing back a new boat, right? Not a destroyed one. What would you do? I'd throw the thing overboard and say I lost it, it got stolen. I'd do anything but arrive with the thing still there, with a massive, great big burn. But I haven't started yet. It's the warm-up. My birthday was the day before that we were coming into the Solent. We had completely run out of food, absolutely ages ago, like 3 days or something. And Phil had saved for me a small triangle of mouldy cabbage with some mustard on. They had nothing to eat that day. Okay, so we're hacking in towards the Isle of Wight, and we're going to come in the Needles entrance on the west side, the narrow one with the mud banks and all. We're hacking down the channel, and it's blowing basically a medium 9, and had been now for a day and a half probably. So there's significant weather going, but easy going. It's a good boat basically. It's just really easy for it. And we're sailing, and we were sailing under head and main with the mainsail prevented out, but basically, so you can't jibe suddenly, basically, with the important bit here. That's the important bit here. We come to the night of the final day of the trip, and like relations between the other two, Phil and Adrian, are not good by this period. I was on watch and it's pitch dark, it's night, it's force 9 tailwind, but it's all fine and good. This boat didn't have an autopilot, so, there's no chart plot. This is way before that period. It's all chart and the, you know, instruments and what the bearings and the whole thing. Normally when you change watch, you change hand to the next person because he's mainly stuck on the to a degree stuck on the helm. And I've told him where I say that we are. I've put it matched on the charts, and I said we're here, and that's that light, and that's light, and that's that light. He's from the handball where we're going to. So I said where we are, and he said no, it's not. That's that light, that's that light, and this is a light in Christchurch. And I'm pointing like to the Needles and the St. Catherine's Point and major lights. And I'm saying that's the Needles, that's St. Catherine's, and other main, I'm losing them now, but the major points. He's saying that one of these lights is a small thing next to Christchurch that I've never even heard of. I've been here like back in my hand, I know where this is this is this. So I'm like, no, it's not. We're here. I know damn sure where we are, right? Because it's consistent. My position and information, speed of movement, and opening and closing of bearings, I'm definitely in the place. It's impossible that I'm not. But the thing is, I was young then, he was on, he's the skipper. Oh, I wanted to go to bed basically. So I just had to say, okay, well, I think it's wrong, but you know, I'm off basically. So I go to bed, and at that time I was in the foolish habit of sleeping naked. Never slept again naked in an action situation in my whole life. So I'm fast asleep, and of course, he must have. How could you not look at the chart even once? He's so sure he knew where he was. He went straight past the needles and missed the whole thing, because apparently that's Christchurch. So basically, he just wouldn't accept in his own mind that he got it completely wrong until the point where we were lucky, extremely lucky to survive, basically. Suddenly, I'm awakened by a thundering hammering on my hatch. Nick! Nick! Preventer off! So I teleported naked to the hatchway. I would estimate I was there within a couple of seconds. It's obviously an emergency, and the emergency means now. I look up at him and saw the sheer terror on his face. I looked around, and where should be on my right the Needles Lighthouse, and in front of me the Solent water. There was a cliff. There's a complete blank wall of cliff right across in front of me, extremely close enough that to see the lighthouse was there. We were almost dead, basically, absolutely hammering on, because we were probably making like a sustained 8-9 knots. But the mainsail is prevented off to the side, so there's no way for us to turn in this situation. Because he'd left it so late, the turn was going to lay us over, basically, and we were just going to put the main and be carried in. Stark naked, I teleported to the foredeck and blew the preventer light. Fortunately, I had tied it and it was proper, and so could be split immediately. He crash dived. We turned there, and I would say approximately 2 boat lengths from the hard stuff. Possibly the margin of error was a few seconds. So I made my way naked back to the cockpit, just walked straight past him and went back to bed. Because what do you say? Obviously, now we've gone the wrong way. He has to sail the whole way around the Isle of Wight and come in the other entrance. It's a long way. He was too scared to tell Phil, the army guy, that actually we weren't going to be finished in our next watch, unfortunately. So he soloed, he stayed on the helm all the way until we got to the handle, and we docked the boat. I woke up. The other guy was still in bed, right? Took his stuff, tied up the boat, and left. And we never heard from him again. Amazing, right? And then obviously the army lieutenant fully reported all this, and I'm not sure what the consequences for him were, but he said he didn't work for that company again, but I believe there was consequences. I was phoned by some guy from the army and asked me a load of questions and stuff. I told them exactly what I thought. So that was my 21st birthday. I had a piece of mouldy cabbage with mustard on. My hair went white. I nearly died.